Hey guys, how are you today? It is a little foggy, very misty, very rainy, very gloomy here on the Casita Jardin. So today, to offset that fact, I am going to do a little bit of seed starting, and I am super excited to be able to do that with you today. Now, not everything that I am planting this year I am necessarily seed starting in a tray like this. We have quite a few things that we can direct sow here and have really great success with. I'll kind of go over those on another video at another time when it's sunny out and not so damp. But today we are going to be seed starting some things that don't necessarily thrive too well when they are direct sown, aka I have birds that come after them, I have insects that end up eating them when they come up as little seedlings starting out in the garden. So I want to make sure that I have some good solid plants to plant out in the garden that are not going to be as vulnerable. Now, the tray that I have here is a 72 cell tray, and let me kind of pick it up here. So you can see there's this bottom section down here, and when you go to water it, that's really good, especially if you are concerned about, which you really should be concerned about, the moisture content when you're seed starting. You don't want it too wet, you don't want it too dry. There's a balance that has to happen between the two in order to get your seedlings to start off properly. This little tray down at the bottom just helps kind of keep a small amount of water reservoir in the bottom so that it can soak up and keep your seedlings moist. So that's really, really nice. Now, I am not one of those that is going to condemn however you want to start your seeds. Start your seeds that way. Whatever way works for you, just go on ahead and do it. This was what was available to me at our local home improvement store. This I'm anticipating maybe lasting 2 seasons just based upon the weight. I definitely have another method that I am more interested in trying, but that's probably going to end up waiting until a little bit later into the next sowing season, and that's going to be a multi-sow method. And it's not going to be so much of a one cell, one plant in each one. I'll explain that later on down the line. So let's go on ahead and get started. I have quite a few seeds that I want to get started. And while we do have a small garden, I do want to go on ahead and put in extra. I want to go on ahead and seed start some extra. If that means that I give away to friends and family some that decide that they're all very happy and they want to germinate and become really, really good stable plants, so be it. But I want to make sure that I have at least 1 to 2 really good viable plants for here on our homestead. Anything outside of that, bonus and shareable. Some of those things are going to be like this. Okay, let me see if I can get that. This is a tomato seed. Haven't worked with this brand before, so I don't know about the germination rate. Now, what do I mean by that? Germination rate is the amount of germination that you get per packets of seeds. Most companies will tell you their germination rate online. This one was a gift, so I'm not exactly sure. So I definitely want to sow several of these just to make sure that I can get a good, at least 1 to 2 solid, strong garden plant to put out in that baby back there, because if you guys remember from last year, we lost every single tomato on the homestead. Every single tomato. I cried. I really don't want that to happen again, so I'm going for broke and going on ahead and making sure that I have extra. Now, the other thing when you are sowing that way, you want to put extra seeds in just because you don't know. Some seeds are viable, some seeds are not. That's a normal thing that happens in the germination process in nature with things that just fall outside, not all of those seeds end up creating plants or plants that end up thriving in the long run. So it's totally normal to have to sow more than one seed, which is why you often see things that come in packets of 30 or more. It's because you really do and really should try sowing at least 4 of one particular variety. All right, let's go on ahead and get this started. All right, now that that is done, there's probably a couple of things that you noticed as I was sowing these seeds. Number one, my tray was wet. I didn't talk about this in the intro portion of the video, but one of the things that I've learned to do is to go on ahead and pre-moisten all of my soil. It just helps to keep the seeds from shifting about and keeps them right where they need to be, so they're not on the edge and they aren't trying to grow where there's, you know, edge of the little guy here and soil on only one side. It keeps them all in a row, so to speak. The other thing that you will have noticed is they weren't completely full. That was intentional. I'm actually going to go ahead and top everything off here. And the main reason that I did that is sometimes when I'm going to put in the seeds in trays, one of the number one issues that I've had is that I end up getting more of the soil displaced and it's all over and it's messy. So I pre-fill it, short fill it, and then go in over the top and put some good potting mix seed starting soil on top. I mean, seed starting is messy no matter which way you look at it. That's the fun. And the other thing you don't want to do is you don't want to mash everything down. You want to make sure that the soil is firm, especially if you did it the same way that I do it, and short fill. And all I do after I put all the soil in the cavities is I just pick it up and tap it down like that 2 or 3 times, and the soil doesn't pack in there so that the seeds will have difficulty getting their little roots started, but it does keep it firm in there so that the seed doesn't float around all willy-nilly. It has something to grab a hold of. So that makes it just a little bit easier on the seedling and on you, especially if you're doing the style that I'm doing here. And doing it this way, I don't have to stick my finger all the way down in the dirt either. 9 times out of 10 when I do that, I end up getting my seed packets wet just because I have wet fingers, and that's not really ideal either. You really don't want to get the seeds in the packet wet because they will go on ahead and try and sprout on you. I have had that happen a time or two. I have also forgotten seeds and just left the packs outside in the dew overnight. There are ways that you can recover instances such as that. One of them is you just spread them out in a warm, dry area on something like a paper towel, and then let them dry, and they should be fine. They shouldn't sprout on you, but if they've already gotten to the sprout point, really the only thing that you could do at that is go on ahead and just consider it multi-sown and have extra of whatever it is you accidentally got soaked and to sprout stage already. That part has only happened to me once. But we had a lot of really nice kale out of it. Macy, enough. The rain has stopped temporarily, so I went over and I opened up the window so she could smell out. It might be my doom. I don't know. We'll see if I can get through this video without her barking too much. Okay. So it looks pretty good here. I'm pretty happy with this. Okay. Yeah. All right, so there are some seeds, such as when I was doing the herbs, the seeds are really, really tiny. So if you are a beginner, don't stress about the fact that you can't stick only one seed per slot in your seed starting tray, okay? It's okay. Just go in when they do start to sprout. All you need to do is pull out the ones that look the weakest. Keep the ones that look super strong in there and just see who looks like they're thriving the most until you have the one that is thriving the best in your little seed slot. No worries, simple and it's easy. I know it's hard to pull out seedlings. It's one of the things that I struggle with. Even still, I don't like to pull out my seedlings even if it looks like they are struggling. It's just a thing that I have. I always have hope. That can be a downfall. But the fact of the matter is that you do need to pull out the ones that are not as healthy and not as strong so that you do get one really good strong plant in there. All right, now all I need to do is get this guy wet and then put the top on and sit back and wait, see what happens.